The rain was falling like broken glass, shattering against the pavement, each drop carrying the weight of 1,000 unheard stories. In a city that had long forgotten how to listen, she stood at the edge of the sidewalk, arms wrapped tightly around her thin frame, soaking wet and trembling. The neon lights reflected off puddles like lies dressed in beauty. Her shoes were mismatched. Her coat was too large, probably stolen, or maybe left behind by someone who'd stopped needing it. Her lips were cracked, her face hollow, and her eyes were oceans, vast, stormy, and drowning in silence. She hadn't spoken to anyone in days. But tonight, desperation carved a whisper from her dry throat. I have nowhere to sleep. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet courage it takes to keep going when you have nothing left, please like, comment, and subscribe to Echoes of Life. Let stories like this remind the world that even the smallest act of compassion can echo forever. The cafe on the corner of Hartley Avenue wasn't much, just a modest storefront with a fading awning and a single flickering bulb above the entrance. But the light it gave off was warm, golden, and defiant against the cold indifference of the city. Inside, the air smelled of cinnamon, roasted coffee, and hope. It was late, almost midnight, and Daniel, the owner, was sweeping the floor, lost in thought. 32 years old, with messy hair and tired eyes, he wore the quiet confidence of someone who had learned to find peace in simple things, the rhythm of a broom, the hiss of steamed milk, the hum of an old jazz song playing low in the background. When the door creaked open, Daniel looked up, expecting a drunk customer or a lost traveler. Instead, he saw her. She stood just past the threshold, dripping and shivering, her presence so tentative it barely registered against the noise of the world. Her voice, when it came, was almost nothing. I have nowhere to sleep. Daniel didn't hesitate. He didn't ask for a name, an explanation, or proof. Something in her eyes, raw, wounded, and pleading, bypassed logic and went straight to the heart. He simply nodded, set the broom aside, and walked to the back. When he returned, he held a dry towel, a hot cup of cocoa, and a folded blanket. He offered them gently, as if afraid she'd vanish if he moved too fast. She accepted, her fingers ice-cold as they wrapped around the mug. That night, Daniel gave her the bed in his tiny upstairs apartment, and he laid out a thin mattress on the cafe floor, wrapped himself in a hoodie, and slept next to the coffee machines. He didn't sleep much. But he felt peace. Mira didn't speak much in the days that followed. She barely ate, and she rarely looked people in the eye. But every morning, before sunrise, Daniel would find the cafe a little cleaner. The mugs washed, the counters wiped, the sugar jars refilled. She moved like a ghost, quiet, invisible, but she was trying to give something back. She never told him her name. Not at first. But on the third day, as he was closing the register, he found a note on a napkin. Thank you for seeing me. Mira. That was the beginning. Mira stayed. At first, Daniel told himself it was temporary, that he was just helping someone get back on their feet. But deep down, he knew she had nowhere else to go. And maybe, just maybe, neither did he. They became quiet companions in the stillness of early mornings and the slow hours between customers. Daniel never pressed her for details. But over time, Mira began to share pieces of herself, fragmented truths, stitched together like a worn quilt. She had aged out of the foster system at 18, tossed into the world with no money, no home, and no one to call. She worked minimum-wage jobs, slept in shelters when she could, stairwells when she couldn't. The nights were the hardest, when the silence grew teeth and the darkness whispered lies. She had learned to stop trusting, to stop hoping. Until the night it rained. Until the warmth of a stranger's cocoa felt like salvation. As she opened up, Daniel listened. Really listened. His cafe became more than a shelter, it became her sanctuary. She started baking. At first, just simple cookies. Then muffins. Then pies. She had a gift. Customers started asking for her by name. For the first time in years, she felt like she mattered. But healing isn't linear. One evening, weeks after she began to smile again, Mira vanished. No note. No warning. Just gone. Daniel searched the streets, checked every shelter, every bench, every place he thought she might hide. Days passed. Rain returned. And with it, the hollow ache of absence. The café felt colder, quieter, wrong. He didn't sleep. He barely ate. He left the door unlocked at night, just in case. And then, on the fourth night, she returned. Her face was bruised. Her lip split. Her coat missing. Daniel didn't ask. He just opened the door and wrapped her in the same blanket he'd given her that first night. She collapsed into his arms, and for the first time, she cried. Not silent tears, but heaving, uncontrollable sobs. The kind that break dams and drown everything. She had run into someone from her past, someone who had hurt her, deeply. She panicked. She ran. And she realized that the only place she felt safe was not a building, but a person. Daniel. From that day on, they built something together. The café became a community hub. Mira started a weekly, pay-what-you-can, breakfast for the homeless. Daniel taught kids how to make lattes. They added bookshelves, hosted poetry nights, gave discounts to teachers and nurses. Word spread. People came not just for the coffee, but for the feeling. The feeling of being seen. Mira began writing again, poems, short stories, journal entries. Her laughter returned, stronger this time. She painted the walls with warm colors, planted herbs in the windowsills, and filled the space with life. Daniel, once so used to solitude, found himself looking forward to every sunrise. Not because of the café. But because of the girl who once stood in the rain and whispered, "I have nowhere to sleep." And though he never said it, not out loud, Mira knew. She had become his home, too. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to Echoes of Life. Share it with someone who needs to believe that kindness still exists, and that sometimes, the smallest act of compassion can become someone's turning point. Special request before we end, ****, if this story made you feel something, anything at all, please comment the word shelter below. Let us know you were here. Let us know the echo reached you.